The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. For over 500 years, Earth had not spoken a single word. No signals. No ships. No light. To the galaxy, it was as if humanity had vanished. Most believed Earth had been destroyed in the Great Galactic War, the final blow delivered by the Varn Dominion. The Solar Silence Treaty marked the end. Earth's last transmission simply said, "We surrender." After that, nothing. But deep beneath the surface of Earth, humanity had not died. It had survived, hidden, silent, and watching. Beneath miles of reinforced rock and layered shielding, entire cities had thrived in secret. Generations were born underground, trained for a day none thought would come. That day had arrived. In a dark chamber deep within Earth's old command center, Commander Alex Voss stood before a glowing hollow map of the solar system. Lines of red markers slowly faded into green as systems came online. His voice was calm, steady, and sharp. "Status," he said. "Fleet operations nominal. All ships reporting ready. Cloaking systems disengaging in 3, 2, 1, replied a technician beside him. At that moment, from the far reaches of the Kuiper Belt, a ripple moved through space. 50,000 Terran warships, previously invisible, appeared in perfect formation. Massive capital ships, sleek cruisers, and rows of automated drone carriers now hovered like a steel curtain around the solar system's edge. The stars seemed to shudder under their presence. Across the galaxy, thousands of observatories blinked in alarm. Galnet, once quiet with routine traffic, exploded into chaos. Unidentified fleet detected. Origin, Sol system. Size unknown. Initial estimate, tens of thousands. Impossible. Earth is dead. In the Varn capital on planet Kraxel, High Overlord Zirin watched the feed in stunned silence. His angular face twitched in disbelief. Then came the voice, broadcasting across Galnet in a calm, human tone. "This is Commander Alex Voss of the Terran Reawakening Fleet. We have returned. We come not in conquest, but we will not be ignored. Earth lives." On the TNS Horizon, the flagship of the Terran fleet, Commander Voss stood at the command deck's edge. His uniform was plain, dark gray with a single silver bar. He wasn't wearing it for ceremony. He wore it for war. The silence in the room broke when his second-in-command, Captain Rentaler, approached. "They see us now," Taller said. "They always would," Voss replied. "It was only a matter of when." He looked out into the star field beyond. "For 5 centuries, we prepared in the dark. Now we step into the light. And we will not step back." In hidden listening posts across the galaxy, leaders scrambled to respond. Was this a threat? A bluff? A return of an enemy long thought extinct? For Alex Voss, it didn't matter. He wasn't waiting for their approval. Earth had waited long enough. He turned to his crew. All ships spread formation. Defensive posture. No aggression unless provoked. Send a second wave to establish listening satellites. Let them hear us. He paused, then added, "Let them feel us." Behind him, a large display flickered. From dozens of points around the solar system, ships surged outward. Probes deployed. Warp gates activated. Humanity wasn't hiding anymore. The galaxy watched in silence. Then the questions began. Who were these humans now? What did they want? And what would happen next? Far from Earth, the shadows began to stir. Old enemies reawakened. Ancient treaties were dusted off. The balance of power had shifted, and everyone knew it. Commander Alex Voss looked out at the stars once more and whispered the same words that had guided him his whole life. "We were silent. Now, we speak." The moment Earth's fleet revealed itself, the galaxy began to panic. From the edge of the Varn Dominion to the distant trading hubs of the Elysians, every star system lit up with alerts. The sudden appearance of 50,000 Terran ships, fully armed and organized, was something no one had expected. Earth was supposed to be gone, forgotten, defeated. But now, the silence was broken. In the heart of the Varn Dominion, deep inside the Blackstone Palace of Kraxel Prime, High Overlord Zirin stood before a giant holoscreen. His skin was pale and stretched, eyes glowing with violet light. He had ruled the Dominion for over a century, feared by millions, challenged by none. Until now. A projection of the Terran fleet hovered in the air. Ship count, formation patterns, estimated firepower. The numbers were real. The threat undeniable. "This is no bluff," Zirin growled. "This is defiance." His advisors stood still, nervous. None dared speak until General Krass stepped forward. "We could strike now. Catch them before they stabilize. Destroy them before they gather support." Zirin turned sharply. "No, not yet. Let the galaxy watch. Let them fear. Earth's return will shake the old order. But fear spreads faster than war. He waved a hand. A message began uploading to Galnet under his seal. The Varn Dominion recognizes the Terran appearance as a breach of the Solar Silence Treaty. Earth has chosen the path of confrontation. All loyal systems are to prepare for military readiness. This is a declaration of response. Far across the stars, the message echoed through every major world. Some cheered, some panicked, and some remained quiet, watching closely. In the outer orbit of Neptune, Commander Alex Voss stood aboard the TNS Horizon, reading the message aloud. So he calls it a response, not a war, Voss said quietly. Captain Rentaler stood nearby. He's buying time, gathering fleets. But so are we. Voss nodded. Any replies to our own message? Taller swiped through a glowing interface. For minor systems offered diplomatic talks. One old Elysian contact is requesting a meeting. And the merchant lords of Thaler are offering supplies for a price. Voss smiled. Everyone's waking up. He stepped back, activating the full star chart. The Terran fleet had already begun spreading into key sectors, communication beacons, probe stations, defense satellites. Each piece had a purpose. Each move had been planned for decades. We won't win with ships alone, Voss said. We need voices. Allies. Truth. Taller raised an eyebrow. Truth? In this galaxy? Voss turned to him. They believed we were gone, that we surrendered, that we were broken. The truth is we endured. We adapted. And now, we're stronger than we've ever been. At that moment, a new signal came through. It was encrypted, but the source was known, Elysian Central Authority. A peaceful, ancient species. They had avoided war for thousands of years. They were the only race to show kindness to Earth after the Great Galactic War. Voss opened the message. Commander Voss, the galaxy is uneasy. We propose a neutral meeting in Orbit Sector V7. One delegate. One ship. No weapons. We wish to speak, before others choose war. Voss stood still for a moment. Then he nodded. Prepare the TNS Resolute. I'll go myself. Taller stepped forward, alarmed. Alone. This isn't about firepower, Voss said. It's about trust. If we're going to return to the galaxy, we need to speak for ourselves, not from a battleship, but from the truth. As the smaller diplomatic vessel prepared for launch, news of the Elysian request spread quickly. Other systems took notice. Some began to wonder, maybe humanity was not back for blood. Maybe this was something else. But not everyone believed it. On the cold moon of Relax, a Varn fleet commander named Drask watched the developments with burning eyes. He didn't wait for orders. He began preparing a covert strike on one of Earth's new outposts, ready to spark a conflict that would justify full war. The galaxy was shifting. Tension hung heavy in the stars. And above them all, Earth had finally raised its voice. Commander Alex Voss looked out the viewport of the TNS Resolute as it prepared for departure. His face was calm, but his mind was focused. This is only the beginning, he whispered. Before Earth's voice returned, it had lived in silence. But that silence was not weakness, it was survival. Long ago, after the crushing defeat in the Great Galactic War, Earth had no choice but to vanish. The Solar Silence Treaty demanded total disarmament. Humanity agreed to the terms publicly, but privately, it made a decision: vanish from the galaxy, go dark, and prepare. They went underground. Literally. Miles beneath the Earth's surface, deep under bedrock and radiation shielding, the last governments, scientists, engineers, and leaders built hidden cities. The largest of these was Novice Core, a self-sustaining underground arcology powered by geothermal energy and fusion reactors. There were no skies, no oceans, just steel, stone, and determination. Children grew up in training academies, not playgrounds. Lessons weren't about history, they were about survival, warfare, engineering, and tactics. Humanity taught its young not just who they were, but what they had lost. And one day, what they would need to take back. Commander Alex Voss was one of those children. Born in sublevel 23 of Novice Core, he never saw the surface of Earth until he was 16. His parents were engineers, his father designed reactor systems, his mother helped lead the Ghost Fleet project. They told him stories not of bedtime fairy tales, but of Earth's last stand, of the betrayal by the Varn Dominion, and of the long, patient plan to return. Alex was a quiet child. Serious. Focused. From the beginning, his instructors noticed something rare: discipline without cruelty, strength without arrogance. He never shouted. He simply listened, acted, and remembered. By 18, he led his first training simulation fleet. By 22, he was second in command of one of the underground shipyards. At 28, he was chosen to command the reawakening fleet. But the true legacy of humanity's silence was not just in its people. It was in its machines. The Ghost Fleet was a miracle born from desperation. With no access to galactic trade or parts, Earth had to invent everything on its own. Ships were grown from carbon-based alloys using atomic printers. AI pilots were designed to be fully autonomous, but always under human override. Engines used compact fusion cores. And every ship was wrapped in stealth technology that no alien sensor could detect. It took over 3 centuries to complete the fleet. 5 generations lived and died underground to see it done. But it wasn't just about building ships. It was about learning from failure. Humanity studied everything from its own defeat to the weaknesses of the galaxy's most powerful empires. The Ghost Fleet was not built to start a war. It was built to end one if necessary. Quietly, quickly, and decisively. And all of it was hidden. Even Earth itself was shielded by a planetary cloak, projecting false data into space, mimicking a dead world. If any alien probe passed nearby, it would see nothing but lifeless dirt and radiation storms. Humanity had not been sleeping. It had been watching, listening, preparing. Now, aboard the TNS Resolute, Alex Voss stared out at the stars as the ship glided silently toward orbit sector V7 for the meeting with the Elysians. It was a quiet moment, and his mind drifted to the past. He remembered walking the halls of the reactor chambers with his father, watching molten plasma flow through transparent conduits. He remembered standing in the crowd at age 12 when the first ghost carrier launched into the upper crust and vanished into the void. He remembered the funeral of his mother, who died sealing a plasma leak while saving her engineering crew. All of it had shaped him. He didn't hate the Varn. Hatred was easy, dangerous. He respected them as a threat, but he would not let them write humanity's future. Suddenly, the comms officer spoke. "Commander, the Elysian vessel has arrived. Docking protocol initiated." Alex straightened his uniform and walked toward the airlock. This meeting would be the first contact Earth had made with an alien species in centuries. It had to go right. There would be no second chance. As the docking tunnel sealed, a soft blue light glowed from the other side. The door slid open, revealing an Elysian diplomat, tall, slender, with silver skin and glowing eyes like crystal stars. "You are Commander Voss," the being said in a melodic voice. "Yes," Alex replied calmly. "And I'm here to speak for Earth." The two nodded in mutual respect. No weapons. No threats. Just 2 civilizations, one ancient, one reborn, facing each other after centuries of silence. Back in the Varn Dominion, far from the quiet diplomacy of Sector V7, Commander Dresk's warship uncloaked near the Terran outpost stationed near asteroid field Delta 4. He gave a single order. Prepare for strike. No survivors. As peace began to whisper in one corner of the galaxy, war stirred its claws in another. The stars were silent. But silence didn't mean peace. Not anymore. In the darkness near asteroid field Delta 4, a Varn stealth cruiser hovered like a predator in the void. Invisible to most sensors, its black hull absorbed light and energy alike. Inside, Commander Dresk stood at the control deck, his yellow eyes fixed on the Terran outpost ahead. The outpost was small, just a listening post with a few defense drones and a research team. To Dresk, it was prey. Weak. Exposed. Perfect. He clenched his fist and gave the order. Engage. The Varn ship surged forward. Laser bursts ripped through the dark. Explosions flared as Terran drones scrambled to respond. Alarms rang in the outpost's narrow corridors. Scientists and engineers ran for shelter. The base commander, Lieutenant Mara Lin, shouted into the comms. "We are under attack." Hostile Varn ship detected, requesting immediate backup. But no help was near. The outpost was one of Earth's newest, still setting up. Its defense systems were limited. The Varn ship tore through the station's perimeter and prepared to launch boarding pods. Back on the TNS horizon, orbiting near Neptune, the emergency signal reached Commander Alex Voss. "Sir, we've lost contact with Delta 4, said Captain Taller. "Sensors confirm Varn weapons signatures." Voss didn't hesitate. "Deploy immediate response squadron. Get me visuals." A few seconds later, the screen lit up with fragmented footage, debris floating in zero gravity, sparks flying, screams, gunfire. It was war. Quiet and precise, but war nonetheless. So much for diplomacy. Voss clenched his jaw. So Dresk made the first move. He turned to his command team. They want to drag us into a full war. But we won't give them that satisfaction, not yet. We respond, we hold ground, but we don't escalate. But sir, Taller said carefully, the outpost could be wiped out. I know, Voss replied, his voice tight. That's why we send them a message they'll never forget. Within minutes, a Terran strike force was in warp. 30 fast attack ships launched from nearby carriers, each one small, fast, and deadly. Their mission: rescue survivors, eliminate the threat, and vanish before the Varn could spin the story. Meanwhile, on the TNS Resolute, Alex's meeting with the Elysian diplomat was interrupted by the news. The alien paused, watching him closely. You remain calm, the Elysian said. Even as your people bleed. I can't afford not to, Voss answered. That's what they want, to provoke chaos. But we didn't survive 500 years in silence just to lose our heads now. The Elysian tilted its head. We offered peace. You accepted. But now you face fire. And we will put it out, Voss said simply. Back at Delta 4, the Varn boarding pod slammed into the station. Troops poured in tall, armored, aggressive. But they were met with resistance. Lieutenant Mara Lin, armed with nothing more than a pulse rifle and grit, led her team through smoke and fire. Hold this corridor. Fall back to the core module if needed. The Terran strike ships arrived seconds later. Like shadows in the dark, they moved fast, silent, deadly. Their precision strikes disabled the Varn cruiser's weapons. Drones swarmed boarding pods, cutting off reinforcements. In under 6 minutes, the tide turned. Commander Dress growled as his ship rocked from impact. Retreat. The Varn fled, but not fast enough. A Terran missile locked onto the retreating cruiser and struck its rear engines. The ship limped away, burning, crippled. The Terran strike force didn't chase. They had done what they came to do, save their people and prove a point. On board TNS Horizon, Voss stood before the war table. The rescue mission had succeeded. Survivors were returning. The outpost was damaged but still intact. But the cost was clear. This was no accident, Voss said. Zirin wants war, but he doesn't want to be seen starting it. He'll strike from the shadows until someone fires first. Taller folded his arms. What do we do now? Voss turned slowly. We gather evidence. Show the galaxy who really wants blood. And we prepare for the strike that will come. Later that night, Voss sat alone in his quarters. He stared at a small metal coin in his hand, an old Earth relic passed down from his mother. On it were 2 words. Stand ready. He closed his fist. We will, he whispered. Far across the galaxy, High Overlord Zirin received the news of Drest's failure. He said nothing, just stared at the stars beyond his throne room and smiled slightly. This is how it begins. The war hadn't officially started, but everyone knew it was already here. The attack on Earth's Delta 4 outpost had shattered any illusion of peace. Terran forces held their ground. Varn ships retreated in flames. But the message was clear. The Dominion was testing Earth's limits. And Earth had answered. In the days that followed, the galaxy held its breath. Dozens of alien worlds watched closely. Some feared Earth's return. Others admired it. A few began whispering in private, asking themselves the same question. If Earth could survive 500 years in silence and return stronger, what else were they capable of? Commander Alex Voss knew time was running out. He stood in the Grand Assembly chamber aboard the TNS Horizon, surrounded by holograms of Terran commanders, allied representatives, and newly awakened factions ready to listen. These were not empires, but voices. Minor systems. Rebel colonies. Outcast scientists. Each of them had reasons to distrust the Varn. Each had quietly followed Earth's sudden return. Alex didn't give them promises. He gave them clarity. We are not here to conquer, he said, his voice calm and firm. We are not here to reclaim what was lost. We are here to survive and to ensure no one else suffers what we did. The room was still. Then, one by one, the voices began to agree. A treaty was signed, loose, fragile, but real. The beginnings of a coalition. Meanwhile, deep in the Varn Dominion, High Overlord Zirin prepared his next move. He no longer cared for subtlety. The failure at Delta 4 had been a blow to his pride. Worse, it showed weakness. His advisors urged restraint, but he silenced them with a single command. Send the Judgment Fleet. All of it. Across the Dominion, massive dreadnoughts stirred from hibernation. Battlecruisers, war carriers, and assault ships launched from dry docks like a swarm of steel monsters. Their destination, Earth's defense line at the edge of the solar system. The countdown had begun. On board the TNS Horizon, Voss watched the reports stream in. It wasn't a raid. It was an invasion. 50,000 ships, Taller said grimly. Same size as our fleet. They're not coming to test us this time, Voss replied. They're coming to erase us. For a moment, the room was silent. Then Voss stood tall. Prepare the ghost fleet. Activate all drone wings. Ready the orbital shields. We make our stand here. Across Earth's defense grid, everything came to life. Satellite networks aligned into formation. Massive hangar bays opened across the moon's hidden bases. Earth shipyards, long buried under Martian sand, now glowed with energy as fresh strike fighters launched. But the real power came from the ghost fleet. Each ship was not just a war machine, it was a shadow weapon. Fast, silent, built with cloaking tech and fusion drives no alien empire had ever seen. Each vessel had been designed for this moment, hidden for centuries, waiting for the order. The Varn Armada entered the system like a tide of black metal. Their lead ship, the Hand of Zirin, was larger than a city. It blotted out stars. Terran vessels, a Dominion broadcast echoed, "Your time has ended. Surrender or be destroyed." Alex Voss stood on the command deck, staring at the incoming swarm. He tapped a control panel. "Open wideband response," he ordered. A second later, his voice rang out across space. Earth was silent. You took that as defeat. But we were listening, watching, building. Today, we don't run. Today, we lead. Then, he gave the final order. Engage. The battle erupted instantly. The Ghost Fleet split into waves, striking with speed and precision. Varn ships, heavy and slow, couldn't react fast enough. Terran fighters swarmed them from all sides, targeting engines, weapons, command bridges. Massive EMP blasts disabled whole sections of the Dominion fleet. Terran drones, AI-controlled, sacrificed themselves to cripple cruisers. Coordinated attack squads flanked dreadnoughts and opened up weak spots in their armor. But the Varn fought hard. Their ships were larger, better armed. They unleashed plasma storms, melted asteroid fields, and destroyed dozens of Terran ships with each volley. The sky turned into fire and ash. Alex Voss moved calmly through the chaos, issuing orders, adjusting formations, reinforcing weak flanks. He was not just a commander, he was the center of gravity for every Terran ship in the fight. Aboard the Hand of Zirin, the Overlord roared as his screens filled with red markers. They learned, he hissed. Too well. But it was too late. A final wave of Terran stealth cruisers, cloaked and silent, slipped past the Varn's front lines. With perfect timing, they struck the core of the enemy fleet. Precision missiles, fusion torpedoes, electronic jammers. The Hand of Zirin trembled under the assault. Systems failed. Its power grid collapsed. Explosions burst along its spine. Overlord Zirin, furious and wounded, gave a single order: retreat. The Varn fleet broke apart. The survivors scattered into deep space. The battle was over. Earth had not only survived, it had won. As the smoke cleared and the stars returned to stillness, Alex Voss stood once more at the viewport. His fleet, though bruised, was intact. His allies had seen his leadership, and the galaxy had seen the truth. We didn't come back to fight, he said quietly, but we will fight if we must. This battle would be remembered, not just for its scale, but for what it meant. The galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. The war was over, but the echoes remained. Wreckage from both fleets drifted through space, scattered like forgotten monuments. Broken hulls, shattered wings, and darkened engines floated silently across the void between Neptune and Pluto. The battle for Earth's return was the largest space conflict the galaxy had seen in centuries, and Earth had survived it. More than that, it had won. Across the stars, news spread like fire. Systems that once dismissed Earth as extinct now watched with respect. Others, once loyal to the Varn Dominion, turned their backs on it. Even neutral civilizations began to rethink their alliances. The galaxy was changing. In the Varn capital of Kraxel Prime, High Overlord Zirin sat in silence. His ship, the Hand of Zirin, had been heavily damaged. His pride had suffered even more. Word of his defeat reached every corner of his empire. For the first time in 100 years, his authority was questioned. Whispers rose in the halls of power. Councils began to meet in secret. Varn warlords who once bowed without question now hesitated. No one dared move against him yet, but the shift had begun. He had lost more than ships. He had lost control. Back on Earth, inside the command center of the TNS Horizon, Commander Alex Voss stood at the center of a quiet storm. Messages from 100 worlds came pouring in, offers of peace, trade, alliance, and dialogue. Some were cautious, others hopeful. Alex answered each one, not with grand speeches or threats, but with truth. We are not here to rule. We are not here to destroy. We are here to live. At the heart of Earth, the cities that had once lived underground opened their gates. For the first time in 5 centuries, the surface was home again. Sunlight fell on stone buildings and steel towers. Crops were planted in open air. Children saw blue skies and stars above. The ghost fleet returned, damaged but proud. Repairs began immediately, but there was no rush. Earth was no longer hiding. It was building a future. A summit was called, this time not by the Varn, not by the old empires, but by Earth. Held in orbit around Mars, in a new space station named Unity, the summit gathered voices from across the galaxy. Humans stood side by side with Elysians, Thalar merchants, Jiric wanderers, and even Varn defectors. Old enemies, uncertain allies, and new friends all sat at the same table. Commander Alex Voss stood before them, not as a warlord, but as a representative of a people who refused to vanish. We were silent because we had no choice, he said. You saw that silence is weakness, but it was our strength. We learned. We grew. We survived. And now, we return not to rule the galaxy, but to be part of it. There was no applause, only stillness, a respectful silence. And then, one by one, the delegates nodded. Peace agreements were signed. Trade routes were reopened. New codes of conduct were proposed for interstellar diplomacy. A fragile, hopeful beginning. After the summit, Alex walked alone through a quiet corridor of the station. The stars beyond the glass walls stretched in every direction. Captain Rentaler approached. You did it, he said. We all did, Alex replied. Taller hesitated, then asked, what happens now? Alex looked out at the stars. Now we build, he said. Not just ships, but trust. Not just colonies, but connections. The galaxy will never forget what we've done. But what we do next, that's what will define us. Taller smiled. No more hiding. No more hiding, Alex repeated. The two stood together, quiet, watching a new dawn rise over Mars. Earth had returned. Not with fire, but with focus. Not with rage, but with reason. And in doing so, it had changed the course of the galaxy. In the end, silence had not been surrender. It had been preparation. Now, the voice of humanity echoed among the stars, clear, steady, and unshakable.